everybody else gets on, we do have somebody that was on the last one, so he's already aware of the situation. There is a weird about 30-second delay that occurs whenever we do these because of how we have to set up our streaming service with it. After everybody gets on and we can make sure that everyone's like good to go, everyone's going to have to be quiet for about a minute, just like dead quiet. And then once Brant starts talking, then you guys can breathe again.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
Brant, it's Audrey.
Good morning.
Morning. I wanted to just refer to your notes. I know that there was a speaker point in there I'm reviewing. We were hoping to have a Sanford medical professional on here. Unfortunately,
Okay.
they weren't able to get anybody. So
Okay.
yeah, if you want to just, scratch
With-
that
with-
question.
Yeah.
Besides, I think we'll have enough to talk about, and kind of based on our last panel, I think it went all.
Oh
really
yeah,
smooth.
we'll have plenty of time to talk about, or we'll have plenty to talk about in that
Yes.
amount of time. So, no problem. Yeah, we got Helene Duhamel. All right.
Yes. Good morning, Senator Helene Duhamel.
Oh, good morning, Senator.
Good morning.
Let's see. We got Mr. Murray Lee. Who is that guy? We just had him. That is bad. Christy Lewis, NAMI representative. Okay. I need more coffee. That's what's happening.
Yeah, this will actually be a really good tie-in to our last panel that we just did.
Yeah.
We talked about substance abuse and alcohol abuse awareness month, which is in April. So we, of course, touched on mental health a little bit, but now we'll get more in depth with it. So.
Oh, I'm supposed to change my shirt. I can still do that. 2 seconds. What time is it? I got 8 minutes. Okay, here we go. I gotta, otherwise I'm wearing the same shirt for 2 panels. I gotta change my shirt. I'll be right back.
Oh, I'm great. Thanks, Brant.
Wardrobe change, big time. Hello, Senator Duhamel. It says I'm Lauren Ebert. I am clearly not. My name is Ethan Anderson with News Center 1, and we're just waiting for a few other people to get here. My understanding is you do have to leave us a little bit before the 11 o'clock hour hits. Is that correct?
No, it's 10:30.
Yeah, 10:30 is what I was thinking.
Okay.
That works.
Perfect. Yeah, not a problem. I couldn't remember the time in my head, so thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay. Better. Senator, we appreciate your time this morning.
No, you're very welcome. Do you want me to keep it on mute or leave it just open?
I
You-
think you're okay for now, just to, once we get started, then we'll probably have people mute and unmute, but for now, you're okay.
Agreed.
already
Couldn't have
get
said
your-
it better myself, Brant. Good work.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
You got a button unbuttoned, buddy.
Where? Oh, geez.
Just trying to help
One
you
day
hold
at a time.
together.
Is it Friday? Okay. Murray, you're back.
I am, and you're back with a different shirt.
Yeah. That's okay. They assume you have more than one of those, I suppose. I don't get an excuse. Okay. So there's going to be kind of a funny time period each time we, Murray's already been through the ringer on this, but each time we end, we're going to have like 3 segments with commercial breaks in between. About 30 seconds before we go into break, I'm going to say, and we'll be right back. And then we'll be silent for 30 seconds while they get all that put together. And then and then I'll kind of be like, okay, halftime, what we're talking about next after the break is this and this. And then we'll have another 30 seconds of silence leading up to the opening. It's a lot of awkward silence in between the segments, but we're going to get this. We're going to have it down to a science by the time we get into this. Awesome. We are still waiting on, she's still got time, on Miss, let's see, Christy Lewis. Lewis? Oh. Good morning, good morning. Oh, hi.
Hi, Christy. This is Ethan Anderson. It says I'm Lauren today. Hi. I'm with News Center 1.
Okay, we have everybody.
Yes, it looks like we have everyone here. Christy, if I could have you tilt your camera down just a little bit to get a little less headroom in that shot, or you can scoot up to the camera, one or the other. That looks good. Thank you. I think we are good to go. Miranda, do you want me to do mic check?
We'll do mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep, I can hear you. Thank you, Brant. Senator Duhamel, can I just get a sentence from you or so?
Sure. Helene's mic check. 1, 2, 3. Mic check. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Perfect. Murray, I know your mic works, but let's do it again.
Okay, mic check, 1, 2, 3, mic check, Murray Lee.
Thank you. And Christy.
Hi, I'm Christy. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Perfect. Thank you. Brant has explained this a little bit to a couple of panelists, but Christy, since you just joined, I will explain it as well. There are some awkward silences because we're on a 30-second delay here. So we will, when we're ready on this side, we'll just tell everyone to go radio silent, and then Brant will start the panel about 30 seconds or so after that. We do have a couple of breaks that we have built into this, so we go in and out of those, even though this is a recording. And Brant is on a clock on our side, so he'll wrap you guys up going into each of those breaks. He will then just kind of organize for the next segment for about 30 seconds with the people he plans on calling on. And then we'll again go radio silent for 30 seconds to catch up. So we will do a couple of delay checks here in just a minute with Brant. But if everyone could go silent until we get going, that'd be great. Thank you.
Can I do a brief rundown with them real quick of?
Go ahead.
Okay. So we're going to be kind of, as soon as we walk into this, I'm going to be, okay, we have a panel. Let's introduce yourselves real quick, briefly, who you are, where you work, and then we're going to get right into it. So the first thing I'm going to be asking is, Murray, you're going to be up to bat first for this first segment, kind of referencing statistics found in the 2019 CNA findings. So kind of rehashing that. And then depending on how long that goes, we may, Senator, we may have you do the last block of that segment for the first hit. We may save that for the second block. So just depending on if Murray and I get run away with our conversation or not, we'll see how that pans out. So I have someone in my ear constantly saying 30 seconds, 20, 15, wrap it up. So we'll kind of, we'll bounce back and forth from there. So, all right. So I guess we'll go into radio silence and we'll get things started here. Oh, delay check. Delay check. This is a delay check. They are telling me to talk, and so I will talk. Okay. All right, good morning. We are talking with a wonderful panel this morning. It's about mental health awareness. So things that we've been talking about over the last year or so, much more so given the pandemic. So mental health awareness became a big issue. And the silver lining is that the awareness is growing because a lot of people had mental health issues, given the fact that we were cooped up indoors, a lot of things come into light. And so now is the time to strike while the iron's hot and to talk about this issue. We have a wonderful panel put together. I'd like to introduce, of course, Senator Helene Duhamel. If you could give us a quick introduction.
I'm a homegrown kid. I grew up in Rapid City, spent my whole life here, raised my family, love it here. I was in the TV news business for many decades. I joined the Pennington County Sheriff's Office 4 years ago. That's where I'm at now. And I have 2 sessions under my belt in the South Dakota legislature. I serve in the Senate for District 32 in Rapid City.
We thank you so much for your time to be here and to help us shed light on the state and where we're at as far as our fight for mental health. We also welcome back Mr. Murray Lee with United Way of the Black Hills. If you want to do a quick round of introduction.
Yeah, thank you, Brant. My name's Murray Lee. I work for United Way of the Black Hills. I'm the Mental Health Initiative Director. So working a lot in and around mental health issues here in the Black Hills region. And so I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we also have Christy Lewis, NAMI representative, NAMI representative. Could you explain the acronym?
Yeah, so NAMI is our National Alliance for Mental Illness here in South Dakota. I serve as the board president. I've been on the board for the last coming up on 4 years. I'm also a mental health professional. I've worked at an agency in Sioux Falls, South Dakota for the last 15 years, and I'm the clinical director of our children and counseling services there.
Christy, thank you so much for your time. We're going to get right into this. Murray, I wanted you to reference some of the statistics you found in 2019. This doesn't include 2020. I mean, so 2019, kind of a across the board look at what our statistics found of CNA.
Sure, Brant. In 2019, the United Way of the Black Hills had a community needs assessment report done, and there were several priorities that emerged. The top priority that did emerge was mental health that needed to be addressed, discussed through conversations in the community. Communities in the Black Hills see that there's a need for mental health services. So some of the statistics from that survey, you talk about COVID and the pandemic having this effect on people, and it absolutely has. But we're seeing even before that, talking like 2018, there's an increase of people reporting chronic depression, at much higher rates than even just 5 years ago. So you look at 2015 compared to 2018, you're up 10, 12 percentage points for chronic depression. You look at suicide here in South Dakota. South Dakota has the 14th highest suicide rate in the United States. It's about 16.7%. And then this survey, we look at the 6 counties here in the Black Hills region, and all the suicide rates are higher than the state rate. But it's something that by having these needs assessments, by having these conversations within the communities, you're uncovering things that maybe were in plain sight all along. Things like mental health, substance abuse, domestic abuse, violence, all these things working in concert to create unhealthy communities. But the flip side of that is, and the positive piece of that is that communities are becoming aware of, as you said, mental health, the need for mental health services, how to identify that you might need treatment for mental health issues, things in the community that need to be discussed and need to be addressed. And so it's really encouraging for me to see this data because that means communities are having these honest, open discussions around some pretty serious issues. And they're working on coming up with ways to address them.
So Murray, you make a great point. This was an issue up and coming in 2018 and 2019. This is not even including the pandemic, which a lot of people indoors, whatnot. So this is more important than ever to talk about. Senator Duhamel, I wanted you to kind of briefly touch upon where is the statewide trends? Where are we going as far as mental health in South Dakota? And what have you seen from your position?
I served 1 year on the Health and Human Services Committee, so I have probably a better perspective there. This last year, I was moved to do 2 different committees in Judiciary and State Affairs. But I would say definitely, like Murray had said, we are seeing a trend of suicide, high cause of death in our state, especially teenagers. And shockingly, it came down a bit in 2020, but it's off the chart for our Native American population. Youth depression is trending up. So these are things that we're aware of and we want to deal with. We do think our medical providers are doing more screening, questioning of patients, asking about depression. So we believe there is a growing awareness that mental illness is a true health condition. And so with awareness, we think will come more treatment and better dealing with these issues. South Dakota is one of the last 2 states to join the National Violent Death Database. Now, in Rapid City and Sioux Falls, it's not a problem. We have forensic pathologists. But in these other parts of the state, it's often not clear if we're categorizing all deaths appropriately. So we need to make sure that we have a true picture of suicide. I think one of the trends is the appropriate regional facility. West River has been a desert to some degree. We are 350 miles from Yankton, from the Behavioral Health Services Center. So we were successful this year in the legislature to get $4.6 million allocated for a crisis stabilization unit in Pennington County. This is a regional response to our distance to Yankton, and it's a trend. It'll be the first of, we believe, at least 2 more facilities, one in central South Dakota, one in northeastern South Dakota. And right now in our care campus across the street, we have what we call crisis care, a partnership with behavior management system where people can stay up to 24 hours when they're having a mental health crisis. At 24 hours, they have to leave. This new facility will be 16 beds, up to 5 days stay. So we think the vast majority of the mental health crises are handled within 5 days. We can keep most of the people here in Western South Dakota close to their family, their support system, and the resources. So we think this is potentially the new way of treatment. Very excited about this. We hope to break ground yet in 2021 and get this thing going. We have all the partnerships. We have the location. We have the relationship with the Pennington County Sheriff's Office and law enforcement. And we're at the table because jails in many places are becoming big mental health providers. These folks get in trouble. There's no resources. And so that's why law enforcement is at the table with mental health providers. So that kind of brings in my day job, my legislative job, and what we're doing here. But that's what the trends we're seeing.
Senator, you're touching on some good points. We're going to talk more about this coming right up. Stay with us. Okay, cool. All right, so we're going to be, that was excellent. Wonderful. So now we're in a little bit of a break here. We're going to go and kind of transition over to Ms. Lewis. We're going to talk more about if you can kind of expand on the difference between mental illness and health and what it looks like addressing the stigma of it, why it's difficult here as opposed to maybe other places, in what you've seen. This will probably be your block alone. And so we have 3 blocks. We just did the first one, and then you'll probably be the second block, maybe a shortened block at this point, not by a lot, maybe, we'll have about maybe 5 minutes. And then the third block will kind of wrap up and, where we're going and some of the positives we're developing at 211, reaching out for mental health risk, all that good stuff. So, okay, we'll have our next, I'm going to sneak in a sip of coffee, and then we'll have our 30 seconds of silence. All right, we are back. We are now introducing Christy Lewis, NAMI representative. Once again, if you can explain the acronym and then a little bit about what addressing this stigma of mental health is like in the state of South Dakota, maybe a little bit different in other places.
Yeah, so NAMI is our National Alliance for Mental Illness, and we have a chapter here in South Dakota. We have several affiliates in surrounding cities in South Dakota, and we provide advocacy, we provide education and support to individuals that are living with a mental health condition and their families, and how that may affect them because they love that individual. And so the biggest thing in South Dakota is that we are trying to help individuals recognize that mental health is health. When we have issues surrounding a brain condition, a mental health disorder, that's really a hard thing to diagnose at times. There's not a specific blood test to say you have a mental illness. And a lot of the time people do not recognize mental illness as something that we can't control. So there's a lot of blame and shame and stigma surrounding mental health conditions. I did something wrong, and why am I being targeted? Why is this happening to me? Maybe the individual is hearing voices, and that can be very scary, especially when other people around you aren't hearing those same things. And so having early intervention and support is very key for individuals that are living with a mental health condition and experiencing those very scary symptoms. A lot of the time, individuals living with a mental health condition are more vulnerable than other people, where they would think that they're scary. And so it's usually the opposite of, gosh, I'm afraid of this person because they're saying things that might sound different or bizarre. So we really want to provide those wraparound services to protect a very vulnerable population. And that's where NAMI does come in to provide the education and to break that stigma. The more we have conversations about mental health, the more that people will actually come and seek treatment. We've talked a lot about access already today, and I think that's a piece. Not only do we need access to resources, but we also need individuals to feel safe and open to accessing those resources.
So what are some good mental health exercise? Okay, let's say that, okay, I've reached a stage where I recognize that mental health is something that I am struggling with. I don't even know where to start. Well, maybe this is just a temporary thing. What are some things that you can do to improve a current situation and kind of separate out from the mold of this is what this mental health situation looks like, but here's what I'm experiencing on a daily basis. What are some exercises that I can do to help improve my situation?
Well, first, I would say starting with the conversation. A lot of the time we go to a physical doctor and we let them know that this is happening for more than 2 weeks. And so this is something that's affecting my daily life. And then hopefully getting linked up to a community mental health center or looking at some individual counseling can be a great first step. For the day-to-day, I really talk to individuals about having a routine, having good sleep hygiene, meaning that you go to bed at the same time, you maybe cut off intake of caffeine, you put healthy things in your body, and really trying to increase your water, trying to just have more of a ritual in your sleep so that your body is being fed and nourished, and you have the energy that you need.
Wow. You said the thing about the coffee, and that hits home. I mean, we're talking about stuff that, you see 80% of people doing, but, it's 20% who may not react well to that culture. There's a coffee culture, there's a go out and getting a beer with your friends, but not everyone's body chemistry is the same. It's not going to react the same. We live in an industrialized society. So, not everything's going to fit the mold, and understanding your personal mental health, it sounds like, is a key to really unlocking potential for you as an individual.
You cut out for a moment, so I didn't hear the question.
Oh, Oh, sorry. So just kind of talking about recognizing any mental health situations that you might be having is important to taking that first step and actually talking about it in the first place.
I agree. And I think leaning on your supporters is very important because sometimes when our brains are clouded and we're not sure what's happening, you can ask people that know you, that love you, that maybe understand your baseline behavior. Hey, if you're noticing anything, can you let me know? So I think relying on some of those outside supports can be helpful as well.
That's interesting. And I just wanted to point out the fact that we normalize people drinking decaf. That's a normal thing because not everyone reacts well to caffeine, but yet coffee is such a large part of our culture. You know, you're talking about taking care of depression and, you know, dopamine, the search for dopamine, humans searching for dopamine all the time. And, you know, maybe we need to start treating alcohol the same way. And those who maybe don't, you know, with alcohol abuse awareness month is something that we've been talking about as well. You know, substance abuse, so much of this needs to be talked about in the same way that decaf coffee is talked about. I mean, that's the way I feel about it. It really needs to be a normalized conversation. I think the work that you all are doing at NAMI is incredible. And you have United Way of the Black Hills doing the same thing. And we have our representatives and senators obviously talking about this as well. When we come back, what we're going to be talking about is what are some resources you find out, you know, hey, I am going through something. Where do I start? Where are the resources at? We're going to be talking about that coming up here. Okay. I went on a little tangent there on decaf. I apologize. But that was good. So this next section is going to kind of be, let's see. So what I'd like to do is, Senator, if I could, I was going to have you talk a little bit about, let's see, what are some resources? Here's what I'll do. I'm figuring this out as I go here. Murray, what I'd like you to do is kind of talk about 211 and just the kind of direct access that has in finding resources. And then Senator, if you would just kind of elaborate like, man, this helps. This is a great resource. Make sure you're using it. And then we'll kind of get everyone's last thoughts as we wrap. If I go like this, you can kind of see in the peripheral. If I go like this, that just means that we're kind of closing out on time.
Okay. I won't ramble on too long, I promise.
Believe me, you guys are not the problem. You guys are not the problem. So, all right, we'll go ahead and do 30 seconds radio silence. All right, we're back. We're talking about mental health awareness. So we've talked a little bit about, what the signs are, the stigma attached to it, that we need to be having conversations about it. It's healthy to do so. What I'd like to do now is talk about, okay, I'm in the position where I'm ready to talk about it, but I don't know where to start. Murray, where do I go?
Well, Brent, a good place to start, a great place to start is by calling 211. Here in South Dakota, they have professionally trained, caring staff available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to be able to help you and steer you in the right direction, connect you with the appropriate resources for any issues that you're having. So I just can't say it enough. Please, if you or someone you know is experiencing mental illness or substance abuse issues, and you just need help and you don't know where to begin, start by calling 211.
Senator, how big of a program is 211 in your efforts to try and address mental health in the state of South Dakota?
Very important. In 2020, we worked hard to expand that to make sure it was in every county of the state, to make sure the resources were there, because it's so very important. And you can't leave out the folks in the rural areas. A lot of the services and resources are in Pennington County and Minnehaha County, but we have to think of the whole state, and 211 is critical.
Christy, I wanted to kind of leave things off with you here, kind of talking about how important it is to address mental health before it leads to other problems down the road, kind of how it's the nucleus to substance abuse and things of that nature, all sorts of things. Can you expand on that a little bit about, what we could accomplish by addressing mental health?
Well, I think the first thing is looking at accessing those resources actually saves our state money. Individuals that enter into the system because of substance abuse, which they often will drink or utilize drugs as a coping mechanism because they're not receiving medications or they're trying to cope with their past trauma. So looking at that, going into more of that criminal setting, going into the jail system, that costs our state money. And so it is a benefit for that early intervention to help individuals find appropriate coping skills, really looking at a med regimen that can help to stabilize those symptoms, will help to save us money across the board. And it will also help to just increase the quality of life for individuals that are experiencing, whether that's trauma, past abuse, or living with a mental health condition.
I think that's really important. And just from a personal experience, I've had family members who talking about mental health is, it's not something you did. And so reversing that stigma is so important because if you're addressing that, then you are solving problems down the road for your kids, potentially for your grandkids. And eventually you're talking about a situation where you don't have to pool in all these resources to fight back this tide of mental, and you want to be able to live your life in a way that is, the best version of yourself. Senator, I'd like your last thoughts on how we're addressing it and how we're addressing mental health and moving forward from here.
The legislature has a mental health task force that has been meeting for many years, looking again how we're going to distribute mental health services across our state. So again, we don't need to transport people back and forth to Yankton. So that's a big deal. And they're meeting to watch how our crisis stabilization unit is launched and how to grow that idea. It didn't get through appropriations, but Department of Social Services is working on peer-to-peer support for those dealing with mental health. So like Alcoholics Anonymous, someone who's been through alcoholism can help somebody who's going through it. So those who are suffering from mental illness can be great mentors for those who are currently dealing with it, helping them navigate through mental health and recovering. And so we have a group doing that in Rapid City right now. We want to make that a statewide effort. Peer-to-peer support, always up for licensing things, but we really want this to be more organic. People who have survived mental illness and who are living with it are great mentors. The Helmsley Charitable Trust has given at least 14 laptops to sheriff's associations. We're expanding that to get direct access to mental health providers. And of course, 211, lots of great services out there.
Senator, thank you so much. Murray, Christy, thank you so much for your time. 211, a great resource to access if you are starting to make that journey. Of course, as long as it's an issue, we'll be here to talk about it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
clear. Thank you, everyone. Perfect.
Senator, we know you're stretched for your time. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank
See you guys.
Senator Duhamel.
See you later.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, yeah, no, this was great. Once again, thank you. Murray, you're a champion. This is round 2 for you.
What was that?
Oh, Chris, I was just going to say thank you for joining us. Wendy was the one who helped connect us. So thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Yep,
Of
Thank
course.
you.
Take care.
All right. Thanks, guys.